Uh, Welcome, people. Welcome. Got the apex and the thought, chaos theory, the light of manhood, and embracing the struggle of growth. But one of the things I kind of realized is like I'm built for the chaos. Like I think about my experience. I was a running back, so from 14 years old to about 22, my whole entire life was based upon lining up. There's a bunch of monsters up front. All these guys who are bigger, linebackers, all this type of shit. And I gotta run into these motherfuckers. And I have to hope and pray that the guy that's in front of me does his job so I don't get fucked up before I get the ball. And one of the things I started to realize is it's like I don't think in terms of fear. It's like, okay, yeah, those guys are there. Fuck them. I'm gonna do everything I can do pre-snap reads, put myself in position to be able to get into the hole. And it's like one of the things you realize as a running back is like you're facing danger and chaos every fucking play. Like when you get the ball, you don't know what's gonna happen. You're hoping that the guys in front of you do their fucking job and they get in front of the guy and they hold him off just enough. But it's like you see a little sliver of light. Just a little sliver. That's all I need. I just need that little sliver. If I can get to that sliver, I'm good. Because then once I get to the open field, everything else is easy. Safeties, corners, nigga, get the fuck out of here. Are you serious? You think you can stop me? Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And that running back mentality kind of develops you into a how can I put it? You don't fear chaos. You don't fear the wildness of life. You just like whatever, man. What's gonna happen is gonna happen. And I would like to get your opinion, like chaos and how do men deal with it? What's the best way? What's the best mindset to deal with it?
Well, when you say men, how do men deal with it? That's a whole nother question. you know, uh,
Well, break it
boys
down.
and boys and beta males, um, they kind of deal with things the way bitches react to things. You know what I'm saying? Very quirky, very feminine, effeminate interactions and reactions. But when you're a man, you have to, like I said, the only safe space for a man is freedom. So you have to have a freedom mentality when you deal with things. Uh, how how am I going to end up being free throughout this whatever you're dealing with? If you're still going to be prisoner or captive, it's not really a man. You're not dealing with it as a man. You're dealing with it as as an inmate, as a captive. And so I always tell people, you could do a lot. You might be able to, beat me, but you'll never be able to punk me. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? Because a punk, that's something in your heart. That's something in your mind. That's something you've given up and you've allowed another male or man or entity to dominate your thought process, to dominate your existence, your spiritual existence, your breath. And once you do that, then it's you know, as above, so below. The body will follow the mind.
That's real. I think a lot of guys don't understand the difference between a loss and being defeated.
Right.
One of the things that you learn with chess, like I played I recently, it's about like 4 or 5 months ago, but I hit my 1,000 match in chess. And one of the things you start to realize with chess is that when you stop giving a fuck about the losses, it's like I'm playing just for the sake of playing. I just enjoy playing. Whether I win or lost, it's irrelevant to the fucking matter. Am I playing? A lot of guys are not playing. A lot of guys are playing to not lose, which you start to realize. Very few men actually play to win.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I started to discover is like, even if I lose, it's like, listen, motherfucker, eventually, you might beat me the first time. Fuck, you might beat me the second time, third time. I'm gonna adapt. I'm gonna catch your ass. At some point in time, I will catch your ass. relentless. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of men have forgotten that aspect of life, of the relentless pressure. Like I have this saying, I put a pace on reality, which is everything that I do in reality. Like I'm putting a pace on it. It's like every day, get up, run, train, read, write, make content, so forth and so forth. And it's like every day that I keep doing this, my level gets better. And I think a lot of men fail to understand, like, bro, you, the the it's more so about the input, and you gotta let the output kind of be what it's gonna be. And I think you told me about this with I think you told me about Tom Brady when they told the coach, detach yourself from the throw. Did you make the right read? Did you put the ball in the position that did you do the best you can do to make the right read, put the ball in the position that you best can, and don't care about the result. Whatever happens after you throw the ball is not your fault. And could you speak a little bit more about upon that about
Yeah,
taking
yes.
more? Yeah, go ahead.
Too many times in the world of women and males, they want to attach you to everything you do, but you're not everything that you do. You, in a sense of, there are things that you do naturally that are just manhood responsibilities, duties and responsibilities that is not you, is what you do, is what you did. Like if you get up and you see the garbage need to go out, and you just pick up the garbage and you take it out, that's not you. That's something you did. And a lot of times as men, we don't know how to detach. We don't know how to detach what we did versus who we are, you know. Um, that's why I always tell people a lot of times, some I heard growing up that made a lot of sense. It was something that someone said. They said, I may have done the things that they said I did, but I'm not who they say I am. And a lot of times we don't leave room for people to be other than their behavior. And you are other than your behavior at times. It doesn't mean that you're not responsible for your behavior, because you're still going to be held accountable and responsible. It just means that everyone still needs a measure of grace in being themselves, if that makes sense.
No,
You
it
know,
makes perfect sense. Well, expound upon a little bit more about being yourself. I think that's a lot of things that young niggas suffer with is that they don't understand what that particular term means to be yourself.
damn, that's a good one. Being yourself, to me, that's being who you are authentically. To give an example, me speaking of myself, authentically, I'm quirky. I'm a nerd. I'm not uh, who people would call cool, but I became that to people because of the way the pimp influences in my life. So the way I study, and I'm a student, uh, that opened the door for people to be feel approachable, that I'm approachable. But prior to that, um, people always thought, "Damn, man, I always thought you was, you know, a killer." And I go, "Man, hey, man, I'm not gonna tell you I'm not, but I'm just gonna say don't push me." You know what I'm saying? And people have often done that. When the first time they see me, they'll be like, "Damn, man, you look intimidating. You a scary motherfucker." Especially when I had more weight on me. You know,
Mm.
when I had more weight, people, and I used to do security work, private security work. People would be like, "Man, I just wonder how many people you didn't kill." And I'd be like, "Man, I'm like." I'm over here in my mind. I'm thinking about college. I'm thinking about going to school. I'm thinking about a computer book or something like that. But it's funny how people they get these interesting reads on you, and that's not what you're giving out. And so when I say be your authentic self, you got to be the person you want people to know you as, not the person that people assume you to be, or the person that people uh, guesstimate you to be based on your appearance, based on your background, based on your articulation. Because if that was the case, people would have never thought I worked in corporate America for years on top of years. People would have never thought I was one of the best regional bankers in America at one point. People would just say, "Man, they would have looked at me and just like, man, dude, I don't want to owe you no money." you know what I'm saying?
No, I know what you mean, brother. I get this a lot. As within my mind, I'm a very friendly, peaceful man. I don't want quarrels with anybody. And what you start to realize is like people get kind of fearful of that because you don't put off a very intimidating. How can I put it? You don't show a very violent nature, but that brings a curiosity to people because they're like, "What does this guy look like if he's mad?
Right.
Like if I get on his bad side, what does that look like?" And I think that's a very good element as a man to have is when you're constantly in a state of peace, you're happy, you're tranquility. It brings a lot of terror to people because most people are in. How can I put it? Most people's minds are in the gutters. Like men and women, they're how can I put it? A lot of people live in the past. Their minds are in the gutters. They don't see forward projection in the future. And so when they see a guy who's very happy and very just cool going, they get a little intimidated because they're like, what does this guy look like if he shows true wrath and anger? And you know it's funny because it's like a contradiction. The more peaceful you are, the more scared people are of you, which is a very interesting conundrum or paradox when you come to people. And I wanted to ask you, like, when it comes to like we get a little bit further into the chaos theory. What is your like definition of chaos? What do you see when you hear the word chaos? What do you think?
Chaos to me is not what most people think. Most people think chaos is disorder, and it's not the same. Disorder is its own entity. Chaos is emptiness. When something is empty, that's chaos because it's not good, it's not bad. It's you don't have a read on anything other than to know that it's chaotic,
Hmm.
and you have to get centered, and you have to know what you're looking for and what you're looking towards out of that emptiness, out of that nothingness.
Hmm. And how do you bring order upon chaos?
Well, since chaos itself is emptiness, you have to establish the order out of that emptiness. You have to know what order looks like. You have to design what order is going to feel like, and then based on those precepts, you have to move from there. If you're dealing with a female, right, and all she knows is chaos. She just knows emptiness. Just I'm just gonna do what I want to do. Fuck these niggas. I'm listening to Doja Cat. Then I'm gonna listen to Trina. Then I'm gonna listen to you got to put a pause in that bitch cause, man. You got to really let her know, like, man, this is not we not finna do this. You know, we finna get on some Patti LaBelle. We finna get on some Whitney Houston. We finna get on some order.
Hmm.
And the most successful men when it comes to women have been men that who have brought order to the chaos that a woman it was living.
Hmm. That's one of the interesting aspects as a handy dude. What do you think you kind of figure out is humans are looking for leaders. There, so many people are fucking lost. One of the things I really started to understand is like people are really lost. And so one of the things I started to realize as a handyman, it's like you understand the math of everything. So it's like, hey, what do you want? What do you want this to look like? Well, I want these mirrors up. I want this TV up. Okay, well, take a seat. Let me give you some directions, and I'll customize it so it's perfected for you. And what you start to see people do is they go, "Holy shit, this guy gets it. He understands. Like he just takes charge. He sees the problem. He automatically solves it." I think so many young guys they don't understand how like the leadership quality of being a man, which is let me examine, survey, look at the chaos, and say, okay, this chaos is not that bad. I can handle this. It's basic math problems. 1+1 = 2. And what you start to find out is people fucking love that shit. When a motherfucker comes in that just gets it and understands how to solve everything, everybody shuts up and just listens. It's such a profound. I can't even describe it. It's almost like a godlike quality, if you would say it like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is because one of the godlike characteristics that I've seen is being able to serve. And when I say serve, meaning serve as a leader. There's two types of service. There's service where you can serve yourself, but you're not being a leader. And to be an effective leader amongst adults, you have to be selfless. You have to serve the greater good of the people.
Mm-hmm. We ain't lying. I make a joke with some of my clients. I'm saying I'm kind of like Spider-Man with a power drill.
Yeah.
You call me over and I fucking come just figure out the power drill. And it, it's so interesting to because you get so many different like people that you talk to and you communicate with. And one of the funny things is when I meet people like one or two or three times, to see the difference in their attitude and their mood and how they change over time from me meeting them. That's one of the most profound, like it blows my mind sometimes, really. Like I have this one client and she was down bad a little bit. Like she's married, she got everything going on. It looks all great in pitch like on the photo ops. But I met the lady, did some work for her. And when I came back like maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, she was in such a different mood, like so much more cheery, so much more happier, so much more confident in herself. I was like, this is interesting. It sounds like a joke, but I almost want to say like the handyman today is the modern day therapist for women.
Yeah.
And like maybe could you go a little bit deeper into like the psychology of like why is that?
Well, I think a lot of women they don't get to vent to someone who's they feel as though they want to listen to them. Like you could vent, you could have somebody to talk to, but it may not be the person that you want to talk to.
Mm.
That's why men engage a lot of times in prostitution. I hate to say it, but they finally found someone that is going to listen to them that they want to talk to. Most guys when they given a choice, do you want to talk to another man that doesn't understand your problems, or do you want to talk to this seemingly hot chick that is gonna sit there and at least pretend to listen?
That's very real. One of the things I've been talking about because I've been getting myself in a husband mind frame. And one of the things I've been preaching to guys, if you want to save your relationship, every day, You need to listen to your wife. I got this from Jordan Peterson. But let your wife talk to you for about 20 to 30 minutes. Just let her get everything out. Tell her about your let her tell you about your day and just shut the fuck up and just listen. Now I understand you don't give a fuck. You don't want to listen, you don't want to hear the shit. But just the fact that she can talk to you and you sit there and just listen to her for 20, 30 minutes uninterrupted and let her just get it out, it buys you so much equity in a relationship because she feels like she's heard. And one of the things I started to realize as a Henny dude, a lot of women don't feel like they're heard from their husbands. It's like the husband listens, he's like, whatever, I don't give a fuck. Like, and he makes it very obvious he's not trying to hear it. He might be on his phone, whatever the fuck. But I found if you just shut the fuck up and let her talk, dude, she tells you everything. It's really incredible, to be honest with you. It blows my mind. And I want to ask you a question. What is that within human nature, that ability to communicate with somebody openly? Like, why is that so valuable?
Well, because communication is the cornerstone of cooperation. I'm going to say that again. Communication is the cornerstone of cooperation. And cooperation is the greatest sign of respect. Women are always communicating. It's just that a lot of times men, we don't listen. We turn them off. We shut them out. Because she's not talking on What's in it for me, radio. That's a serious radio station. And when you're young, it takes time to develop your ear to where in your patience to where you're ready to listen to what a woman is saying. Because other than that, you're just going to revert back to what your boys are saying.
Sure.
Hence the beta male.
Yeah.
Which is on the equivalent of the female. My girl said this. My girl said that. My girl said this. My girl said that. What guys do it, we just do it on the flip side. Is my partner said this, man. My partner said that, man. My partner, and you listen and you like, man, why don't you fuck your partner?
And I think you spoke something very profound message to me, which was listen more so to what your woman is not saying as opposed to what she is saying. Listen for the gaps.
Yeah, the gaps will get you. The gaps will really get you. The gaps, that's the one that lets you know where you at, where you fucking up at bad.
And why do you think so many men have trouble with understanding the communication of women?
Say what now?
Why do you think so many men have a trouble with being able to understand the communication when they're talking to a woman? Why do they have such difficulty of understanding what she's saying to them?
Because women speak in circles, men speak in straight lines. If you around the guys, right, you go, hey man, y'all want to get a beer after the game or da-da-da-da. It's straight line communication. We have two different communication styles. Women, because they're more socially advanced, they communicate in circles. They say they're passive aggressive. They learn how to say things without saying them. They learn how to insult people without insulting them openly. I'm being honest, man. Really think it.
You ain't lying.
And so they have a circle style communication. So when she's telling you not to wear that shirt, it's really about 25 different things in her telling you not to wear that shirt. One of them being that shirt is too old, is wrinkled. She's just not gonna tell you how, what she really wants to say, but she's gonna just let you know, babe, don't wear that shirt.
You ain't lying, brother. That's some heavy gems. That's some heavy gems.
And you just thinking in your mind, hey, I thought this was a cool shirt. Why I can't wear it? you know, because she's picking up on other cues. Women pick up more on social cues than men.
Mm.
Um, she's picking up on how the boss sees you, how the person at the the gas station attendant he sees you, how how things are, uh, not just on your job but in your career field. You know, so it's a lot of times a lot of guys they get stuck on what she said or what she didn't say when really it's really not what she said, it's what she didn't say that this really should be your key of reference to what you should hear, what she's not saying.
And how does a man be able to kind of discover and understand the things that like she's not saying? What would be the best way that you go about that?
Let her tell on herself. Women tell on themselves more than men. It's just
You ain't lying, brother.
you just got to be in position to catch them. You got to be in position to catch them. Like if she says, "Hey, are you going to the office party this year?" Your antenna should go up. You know, why are you concerned about the office party? And then why are you concerned if I'm going or not?
Mm. That's good questions.
See, they're just you have to um, line a woman up for herself. You know what I'm saying? And then she'll let you know what the truth is.
Mm. If you don't mind me asking, like, what's the most painful lesson that you learned to be able to teach you that lesson?
Man, you name it. I've been through. Man, I've been through the size really matter campaign to you don't make enough money for me. I've experienced it. I've experienced it all, man. I just laugh because now females know that it doesn't work. It,
Mm.
it works when you're young and you you don't know I should say you don't know you're not sure of yourself. When you're not sure of yourself, and someone else, not just a woman, but anybody can pick up on if someone's not sure of themselves, if they're not confident in themselves. That's why I would say get to know yourself, because once you get confident and you know who you are, I wouldn't give a fuck if I'm just saying who's somebody that's famous.
Said
You
Kim
know,
Kardashian, Kanye West. Yeah.
I wouldn't give a fuck if Kanye West had something to say about me. I really wouldn't give a fuck. Um, it's irrelevant.
That's a very true fact. That's one of the things I'm learning as a man as I'm growing. It's like once you understand your projection for your own future, once you see like, oh, I see where I'm going. Like, listen, if you want to get on board, man, I feel bad for you. You missing out on a great gravy train, brother.
Yeah,
And even more for a woman, it's like, listen, that period hits you every fucking month. Like one of the most profound things you told me is that women are painfully aware with time because they have a menstrual cycle. So every month, Mother Nature kicks them in the fucking pussy, and they're like, "Fuck, I'm bleeding. I'm bleeding out. I don't have a man. I'm not married. Another month passes by. I'm bleeding out. I don't have a man. I'm not married. Bleeding out. Not don't have a man. Not married." And one of the things that guys don't understand is that's so much more to your advantage. Is that when you begin to understand that time doesn't really have an effect on men if you don't have a kid, if you don't have a family, if you're just kind of just living as a single lone stag, time don't really have an effect on you, man. I'm the same nigga from 18 at 32. There's no difference. The only difference is I got more responsibility. I'm making more money. I got more skills. But as far as my responsibilities, take care of myself. That's it.
Yeah.
But a woman understands, like, I gotta find somebody. And most guys don't understand that leverage that they have within the position where it's like, listen, there's not too many guys who are marriage minded, have some skill set about them, and are looking for a wife. If a woman stumbles upon you, if you're a marriage minded looking and you're looking for a wife and you have your shit going for yourself and you got a good projection for the future, you're like, I think Kevin Samuels said, you're platinum. You're like an Amex card, nigga. You're her gateway to the future.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of guys they can't comprehend that the value for their own selves. If you could expand a little bit more, why do you think guys don't see their own value in themselves?
Because other guys still view them as competition. And when you view somebody as competition, you want to keep them at a low vibrational state. You know, it's almost, well, I think I say almost, it's in your best interest to keep them at a low vibrational state. Because if you keep them elevated mentally, then eventually what y'all competing for, you could end up walking away the loser, and that hurts. If it's 10 women in the room and it's 20 guys in that room, somebody's gonna lose.
You ain't lying.
So it's not in my best interest to big up Jeff and big up Steve and big up, you know,
right?
You know, I may not be against them, but I'm damn sure not for them. I'm damn sure not their cheerleader. So that's why guys don't do it. Guys are always, they're gonna let you crash and burn, you know, because they want the vagina.
Which once again, I try to preach the idea of the escort pill. Yeah. It's like once you take that pill, you won't even desire sex anymore. It's crazy. Overnight, you'll realize, oh, sex is pointless. Why am I having sex for? Why am I going out here trying to impress random women to put my thing in a hole for? I mean, it doesn't make any logic. You're like, what I really want, if it makes logic, like the long-term projection, it makes way more sense. It's way cheaper to be a husband. And what guys don't understand is if you go at the husband thing in the right, correct manner, you actually, it's much cheaper, way cheaper than dating for a prostitute or an escort. Because what you realize is the exchange is, I'm providing you protection, affection, and direction in exchange for cooperation. And everything else, my money, my body, my skill set, everything else is just bonus points. And same thing for your girl. Everything, like her beauty, her looks, her family, everything else that comes from, those are bonuses. And so it really helps you realize like the value, you fall in love with the value of the wife position. Because you realize long term, look, it don't make no sense for me to go out and keep dating random chicks. Like, I'm gonna keep dating this random woman who starts at level 1 on the woman man scale relationship. And it's like you look at a lot of guys, like, you guys are dumb. Why do you want to keep playing level 1 when you can just find one girl that wants to rock with you, wants to do the whole life thing? And you can level her up to level 100, level 50, whatever the fuck level you want to get up to. Like, it's just, I find it to be weirdo activity to date random women. I look at it as like, you're weird. You're a weird guy to me.
Right. And the weirdness, it comes from lack of developmental skills. You know, it's like the person that they've been playing Madden since the early Maddens, but they always play on rookie. They never play it on pro. They never play it on all Madden. They never play it on all pro. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right, right.
Is they're stuck on one level, and because they don't want the challenge of learning how to be better.
Mm. That fear of responsibility. That's another thing you that stuck out to me when you talked about is most men fear responsibility and power.
Mm-hmm.
They want the
No, no,
benefits
let's
of
clear
it.
that up. Men don't fear that. Boys fear
Mm,
responsibility and power. That's what
mm,
keeps them boys.
mm.
I know it's a sad way to look at things, but the facts is the facts.
We got a commenter. Chula5 says Apex Sapien, you're fine as hell. I don't do that information. I don't know what to tell you. I'm a married man. I'm finished. I'm out the game, brother or lady. I'm out the game. I'm done. I'm not playing with nobody. But it's interesting because once you start to really get on your man shit, and I think one of the criteria is to be like a husband is you kind of have to have a business. I've been working on this theory, but it's like until you have a business, until you have an actual stake and equity in like something that you built being successful, you're not going to understand marriage. Because marriage really is a contract that me and my lady, we're going to work together to build a prosperous life that we can pass down to our kids. That's the whole purpose of the game. But unless you have a business and you understand the autonomy that comes with like you're the leader, like listen, this shit, the ship falls and rises with your activities. You're not going to understand how to have a wife to put her in the best position to be successful. And I think a lot of guys they want to stay in that dating game. They want to stay in this the boyhood game because they're scared of the responsibility and the responsibility and the power that comes with being the leader. Because it all falls on you. She's looking at you with those little bright eyes and bushy tails shit. Like, what are we gonna do? And if you don't have an answer, she's looking at you like, well, shit, I'll go find an answer from some other man. And at that point, your relationship is finished.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys fail to understand respect is the greatest currency within a like respect and communication is the greatest currency within a marriage. The money, your body, all that shit is irrelevant. It's like, does she respect you and can you guys communicate openly? That's your currency in the game of marriage. Money has nothing to do with anything.
I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. Because it's like Adam 22 with his situation, man. It's like
Yeah.
you took the Cutco route. Now you mad because of the decision that you made. Like that, I don't know. I didn't understand that. If I
Mm,
if I go ask Big Dick Derek to fuck my wife, and then what am I mad about? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the
right. You pay for it.
right?
And that's the sad thing. I think that brings us to the next topic is like the light of manhood. Like give me 1 second. Let me take a piss real quick. Take a brief
All right.
little intermission.
Mm.
All right, there we go. All right, back to what we were talking about. The light of manhood. One thing that you told me about that was very profound was like the beacon of light that you serve as like almost like a lighthouse and direction for other men to kind of follow upon. And if you could expound a little bit more about that, about the light of manhood.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I can. It's like a lighthouse. Uh, Men are on the water, and the lighthouse helps you see where the land is, right? And there's other men that are always looking, judging, measuring, comparing their manhood and what is being a man. Because without those things, you don't know. When I was growing up, I thought because that's what dudes in the street was saying, "You the man if you fuck a lot of hoes. You the man if you get a lot of currency. You the man if you sell big dope." These are things that once I became a man, I learned that none of that bullshit makes you a man. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
All it did was cloud my understanding and uh, tripped up my being to where I could have went to prison and lost my life and lost my livelihood for nothing,
Mm.
and still wouldn't have had nothing to show for it. But this is what happens when you have males and you have boys trying to teach other males what being a man is. And so that's why I always tell people when it comes to my manhood, I don't tell people what to do. I just say I have certain principles that my manhood falls under. Now, if you can identify with those principles, then that would be a light to you for what your manhood should look like.
That's facts. I made a YouTube video not too long ago about I don't believe in giving advice. I believe in just stating principles. There's certain principles you need to abide by because I can't give you advice. I don't know every intricate detail of your life. It's not possible for you to give me every variable that's about you, but I can tell you certain principles by which you can kind of take information from and then guide yourself with. And one thing I started to discover is when you're helping young dudes out, it's like you got to figure out for yourself. But those principles, these are time tested, proven methods.
Mm-hmm.
They don't go away. They'll be here now. They'll be here 1,000 years from now. Establish your manhood, reestablish your manhood. In the words of Thought.
Yeah,
And it's
that must
interesting.
have really hit home for a lot of guys, man. A lot of cats been hitting me up like telling me, yo, when I said that really hit home. It hit deep.
Yeah, because it's so simple, but it's so profound because it's like, that's it. And you're like, what are you talking about? It's like, yeah, bro, establish your man, reestablish it. And what your manhood like looks like is like you're going towards freedom. Whatever gets you closer to your idealism of freedom is what establish your manhood, reestablish your manhood. And what you come to find is the more free you become, the more things start to come and attract to you because they want to be within the presence of a man who acts as himself. It's such a I like to compare it to like chemistry. I think that's another thing you put out to me about the chemistry and biology aspect, where most guys they base their relationship upon the biology of a woman instead of looking at the chemistry. And what you don't realize about chemistry is like chemistry, the more elements, like you're an element, like every man is an element. You got your core, your nucleus, and you got a bunch of electrons out there. And there's some open spots that are available. And what you realize is as a man, is like most women are the smaller, weaker element. So if you keep building yourself as a man, you keep adding on electrons, you keep making yourself developing yourself, you learn arts, the music, um, sales, whatever the fuck, you keep adding on skills. What's gonna happen is you're gonna find a woman who has the right amount of electrons that can join forces with you. And when she joins, that bond is so tight that you realize, look, I don't even care what you look like, baby. It's like I just like the way you make me feel. I like the way that you inspire me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a powerful thing because you become a force. You become a molecule. And that molecule is like H2O. Like hydrogen and oxygen are not very good by themselves. They're kind of useless by themselves. But when you combine those just together, you get water.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys don't understand that mentality is like you have to make yourself into a element that's worth the fuck, that's going to attract the woman who has the right configuration to join you. And once that gets locked in, man, it's easy. It's fucking easy. It's just now you guys are just flowing together like as a bigger molecule. You're bigger than self. And that stuck out to me a lot, man. Because the more I look at it, the more you try. It's easier to kind of what's the word? Disqualify a lot of women because you kind of realize like she's trying to take electrons from me. She's not trying to join my team. She's trying to take from me. And as a man, you kind of realize like, no, let me get out of this. Let me repulse. Let me get away from this particular girl because she's not trying to join the team. She's trying to take away from my electrons. That makes some logic.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Shout out to my biology degree. It actually is coming in handy now.
I think if a lot of guys knew that, they would be better off. Because a lot of chicks is just waiting by the finish line, man.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. You know, it's insane. It's like when you hear like the red pill community, like because one thing I'm kind of laughing at is the red pill community is kind of falling off. They're degrading because it was never built upon any type of like education. There's no type of wisdom getting gained. They're kind of rehashing about shit that's like woman's nature. It's like anybody with half a brain kind of identify woman's nature. It's like base level 1 life. And it's funny because now a lot of those guys, the secrets are coming out, the truth is coming out. Where a lot of these guys is like you're kind of a loser. You just happen to have a platform, and you speak out to a bunch of other losers who are mad at women for not wanting to accept them. And if you could expand a little bit more about I guess you would say the man makeup of how guys try to hide from being a man with the money and the cars and all this shit.
yeah. Wow, peace. They enjoyed that when I said men wear makeup too. A lot of times we think that it's only bitches that go to the makeup booth and the makeup counter. But I've seen it more with the hip hop industry. You know what I'm saying? Rap, it's like dudes will go get a Rolls Royce just to say, you know, hey girl, you know, I'm about to come pick you up in the Rolls Royce and da 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 da. Is like some extra square shit, you know.
Yeah, Meek Mill had a saying. He said, "Paying for pussy is lame and soulless." I'm like,
well, he should be the first person then, if that's the case.
I'm like, bro, you never one nigga doing that shit. What are you talking about?
Right.
It's interesting because one of the things I find on Twitter is guys trying to make fun of me for getting an escort. Now it's a one-time thing because I learned a lesson I need to learn, which is like, okay, you either get married or you're gonna blow your cash trying to pay for cooperation for a woman. And I think I'm good enough as a man that a woman want to cooperate with me because I'm gonna lead you to the promised land. But it's interesting hearing guys talk about, well, I go on dates and I get chicks for free.
First of all, as an international, somebody been international and dealt with the international community, that's the worst thing you could have people hear about you is that you brag.
Are you breaking up a little bit?
Um,
You're breaking up a little bit.
Because if you get money and Meek Mill brags about how much money he's getting, right? The next step shouldn't be bragging about not paying for anything. The way it goes in the real world is left step, right step. If I'm talking about getting money and getting finance, then I'm also talking about practicing group economics. You know, like you don't hear Chinese people sit there and go, man, you know, I'm getting money from Lee, I'm getting money from Huang, I'm getting money from Huang. And then they go, well, what's up with the females? No, we don't. Like,
Your mic's a little bit choppy. It's like some background feed.
hold on. Let me see if I can hear you.
Once again, this is not weed. This is American spirits. We're not smoking weed. We are smoking tobacco. American.
Hold on one second.
Saturday Media.
Give me 1 second. Okay, go ahead, because I couldn't hear you.
I can hear you now.
But yeah, like I was saying, you don't really hear Chinese people and other nationalities brag about getting the bag or getting finance, and then brag about not paying their people. It doesn't really correlate. You know, it's like, you know, yeah, they had the finance, even when it came to the Italian mob or anybody else. The purpose of getting the finance is to spend it. You can't take it with you.
Bingo. Pass it down to everybody else, man. Sharing the wealth.
Right.
Because all this is making you a target. That's one of the things I started to realize as I look at myself as a future world leader. Not now, but I had the mindset of a future world leader. And one of the things I wanted to try to promote is like we can usher in a new age of peace and prosperity. The internet has given us a new line of communication. We have a global consciousness. And I really think the days of war and all that shit is kind of like it's gonna pass by. Because now that everybody can communicate with each other, we can all translate what everybody else is saying. We're realizing there's a lot of pain and suffering going on in the world.
Unnecessarily, too.
Unnecessarily. And a lot of these kids that are being raised, like the world is a global psychology melting pot at this point, where everybody takes from everybody. We all understand each other much better. It's not like the old days where it's like you go to a foreign nation and you don't have any idea who these people are. It's like, no, I can look up YouTube. I can see what Chinese people are doing. I can see what Indian people are doing. I can see what Africans are doing. I can see what Eskimos are doing. I can see what everybody's doing. And what you start to realize is we all got the same commonality.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I kind of picked up on is that as like the internet is fairly new.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people think the internet is like it's this old thing that's been around forever. It's like no. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the internet has only been around like this current age of internet has only been around for maybe like 20 years, maybe even a decade. So it's still maturing. So we're going through this age of like the extra sexualized and shit like that because that's what men do. It's like the first thing we always do is like we figure out how can we make some pornography images out of shit. It is guys, but as we start to mature, as we start to grow,
Women, hold on, women do it too. They just do it audibly.
yeah,
Men do it. We just do it visually.
right.
But women do everything audibly.
Mm.
That's why they always have the romance novels and shit,
Well, expand upon that a little bit more. That's interesting.
like the Danielle Steele, Fabio. You know, there's always some story on Lifetime Movie Network. You know, with some guy with his shirt off, riding on horseback. You know, pitching woo. These are things women do it too. They're just more audible. They're more audible. Everything that catches what would catch a man's eye is going to catch a woman's ear.
Mm.
Hmm.
That's
They
real.
get more into the story, the narrative of things.
I noticed that too. As a handyman, women love just like the conversation.
Hmm.
If you just talk to them, give them a story, talk with them like it's very interesting because you kind of find out what time is like. Women love a storyteller.
Hmm.
They love math and love a storyteller.
Yep.
And what most guys don't realize is women love geeks,
Hmm.
which was one of the most fascinating insights that I kind of got from doing this job. Is like your ability to do math and explain things in a logical manner and explains it in chronological order and explain why you're doing what you're doing and why it makes sense. They fall in love with you. It's insane.
Hmm.
And I kind of look at guys like, bro, the visual, like that, it don't matter to them
No, it doesn't.
because you kind of realize like a woman looks at every man that comes upon them is bigger, stronger, faster, and more agile. So like if you like unless you're like a fat motherfucker that just shows that you're not out of shape, but if you're like a reasonably in shape guy, you can handle yourself. That's like baseline. Anything else after that, it doesn't make a difference.
No, it really doesn't.
But it's like up here, that's what she's looking at. It's like, are you a leader? You got leadership qualities. And it's so insane. It's like once you kind of realize how the woman minds work, it's like, oh my god, I don't have to like. Why am I getting all buff and it don't even make no sense. I need to be hitting the books more.
Because a woman will always see a man as a utility before she sees him as a necessity.
Mm. Expound upon that a little bit more.
Um, she's gonna look at you for what she needs from you. If she doesn't see the need, it's difficult for her to see the the desire.
Mm.
You know, she's gonna
Mm.
have that look like, okay, he's a man. Because the Western world, the mind of the woman in the Western world doesn't see men the way men desire women. Women, they look at, is this a necessity?
Mm.
That's why it's so easy for them to to disengage and to disconnect with men because they look at a man as a utility.
Mm. That's very profound. So, how does a man become a necessity to a woman?
Well, the easiest way is to be unavailable as much as possible. Um, a lot of this, a young men don't understand that, so they do everything to be available. Powerful, older, powerful men, wise men. The best thing for you to do is to be unavailable as much as possible.
Mm. It's fascinating.
Yeah, because the more you're available, the more you cheapen yourself. The more uh, you know, you're less exclusive. You're common, and being common to a modern woman is like death.
Mm. It was funny. I see a lot of guys when they talk about the dating shit, they try to play that game where they pretend like they're unavailable. But it's like they're playing unavailable to be a human dildo, which is fascinating to me.
Right.
Instead of playing the long term game, it's like you should be unavailable for marriage. Like, look, I'm a commodity. I don't know about you, but like I'm looking at the long term game. So do you want to get a part of this long term game or do you want to just be a human dildo? And my guys, they play the husband game, but they want to be a dildo for some reason. It's such a strange phenomenon to me.
Well, because the warm dildo is what's being promoted in mainstream media.
Mm.
I'm a side dude. Oh, I'm just hitting it. Oh man, yeah, we hooked up. Yeah, bro. See, that gets the bros excited. You know what I'm saying? And we hooked up, bro. But you ask another grown man it's about his business. Like he doesn't give a fuck if you hooked up with her or 10 chicks of her caliber. What difference does it make to him? He has a household around. He's not interested in who you hooking up with.
It's real. There's a manga or a fictional thing called Berserk. One of the characters, he's talking to his girl, and she's like, "You're the 100-man slayer. You kill 100 guys." And he says this profound thing. He's like, "Whether I kill 100 or 1,000, it's irrelevant. It means nothing because it's merely just an act." But when I see you guys fight, you guys are fighting for something larger than yourself. There's a greater meaning to your battles, to your fight. It's like, yeah, you might kill one person, but that one person that you kill, there's a fire amongst you guys where you guys are looking for something larger. I just kill 1,000 guys, but it means nothing. It's irrelevant. I think the same thing when it comes to kind of goes to dudes. It's like, okay, you had sex with 100 women, but what does it mean?
Don't mean nothing to him.
Yeah, it's irrelevant connection. Like you just put your dick in a hole 100 times. That's it.
Yeah.
And that always kind of stood out to me because I think all men, for some degree, you desire a greater meaning to the women you deal with. Especially the older you get, you kind of realize like you see the writing on the wall. Yeah, I'm attracted to young dude now, but what happens when I'm 56 years old? Who am I attracted at 50 and 60?
Nobody.
Nobody wants a 50-year-old cocksmith. Is a short. It's like almost like being like an NFL running back at like 50, 40 years old. It's like, why are you still playing?
Hmm.
And the last topic that we're gonna get to, yeah, we got to an hour. That was quick. Embracing the struggle of growth. What is your recommendation for young men as they begin to try to find themselves in growing as a person?
Don't force it. When you force growth, it's kind of like forcing like baking a baked good. It's baked for a reason. It's time. The time is where the jewel is at.
Mm,
There's some relationships that I'm glad I didn't bake. I mean, I didn't rush. I'm glad I didn't run through. I'm glad I didn't, because I wouldn't have got the jewel out that I got.
mm.
Sometimes the jewel is in the suffering, and I hate to say that way because I hate unnecessary suffering.
I got a quote that suffering is God's gift to man to become better.
I definitely take that. The suffering part is what get me. I suffered tremendously in my existence. Of course, some people would say not enough. Of course, some people would say I've done suffered too much. I don't know. I know for me, for what my level of suffering is, I'm not the long suffering type of person. I'm gonna get it. Let's get to it and let's get it over with type dude. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like the moment you start drawing shit out, that's when it's like, nah.
No, I understand. Well, I look at suffering like you got one choice: either external suffering or internal suffering. So if you choose to suffer internally, it's by your own choice to become a better person. Like reading those books, training, working out, running every day, fighting, doing the things you need, doing the things that suck that you know you need to do to make yourself a better. Or you can face external suffering, which is I don't train, I don't work out, I don't read. And I got to suffer the consequences of having a bad job, being out of shape, being unimportant in life. That's the way I kind of look at it.
Yeah, and they both suck.
Yeah, but I'd rather choose my suck. That's the way I look at it. If
Yeah,
it's gonna suck regardless, I'd rather choose the suck that I get. I'd rather choose what suck I
yeah, yeah.
have.
I just don't like the concept of suffering. Like, you know, I never have.
what does what is your definition of suffering?
You want to be somewhere or have something that you cannot have for
Mm,
whatever the reason. That's suffering.
it's a pretty good quote or a good definition.
You know, and it comes in many different forms. I just look at it like, uh, it, what good is it? What good is it? That's how I try to see things. Like, what? Okay, I'm suffering. Now what?
Mm, it's a good point. I'm suffering now. What? I think that's a
Like,
lot of dudes, man. Well, how do you get out of suffering? What's the mathematical equation to get out of it?
to not want, to suspend your wants, to suspend your desires. That's the only way I look at it. That's the way to get out of suffering.
I would say my equation is time multiplied by work equals negative suffering. I guess you would say. So the more time you put into something, the more work you do into it, the less you will suffer over time. Eventually, you get into a positive equation. I guess you would say. It's
Yeah,
like if I'm suffering being a fat person, the only way I can get not suffer as being a fat person is if I put the time in and I work out. And eventually, at some point, that suffering will become a positive, where I'm suffering in a positive way, where I'm out the negative. Same thing with working, like money wise. If you're negative, if you're suffering from being broke, more time and more work will put you in a position where you're no longer suffering.
yeah.
That's an interesting thing. I got to think about that a little bit more. What is suffering? How does that? What percentage would you say for most men are suffering like through life?
And you talking about upwards of 70, 80% of men. Men are suffering. They're just, they, we just have to suffer in silence.
Mm.
Women are allowed to suffer out loud. But as a man, when you start talking about what you're suffering, nobody give a fuck.
It's funny because I tell a lot of dudes, like, bro, listen, you don't want to listen to me, bro. Just suffer then, man. I don't know what to tell you. I try to give you the proper advice and instructions. You want to keep doing it your way, suffer. Eventually, you'll come back to me. You'll try to figure out the answers.
Mm-hmm.
That's comedy, man. All right, so we hit the hour mark. Let's go ahead and get a quick little wrap up. So the chaos theory, like your summarizing of the chaos theory. Chaos. What do you want to say about that?
It's ever present. Chaos is ever present. Now, order and disorder come from you, and as a man, you have to be the author of order or disorder. You have to take that responsibility. But chaos is always present.
Mm. Do you say steer towards chaos or go away from it?
I was more say acknowledge it versus not acknowledge it because it's always there.
Good point. Okay, and your summary of the light of manhood.
Be yourself, and you got to know yourself to be yourself.
You got any like a first step for learning how to discover yourself?
Yeah, don't be afraid to explore and ask questions.
That's pretty good. True scientist.
Mm.
And the last one, embracing the struggle of growth. How do young men learn how to deal with that one?
Ooh, don't take any shortcuts. Growth. There's an old quote that's very powerful. It says, "Change is inevitable, but growth is optional." You have to choose to grow through something or grow from something.
Mm.
And if you don't make that decision, you're not going to be willing to accept it and accept the responsibility of taking it through your manhood or saying, "Hey, I chose to grow through this and grow from this."
That's good. I appreciate your time, brother. Just hang on for the line right now. We're gonna go ahead and shut it down. I'm a little bit hungry. I can't lie to you. I haven't ate today yet. 11 o'clock. Yeah. I appreciate y'all for listening. Hang in every Sunday. We're gonna knock out a podcast. I think like at 6 to 7 o'clock Eastern time or Central time, whatever the fuck. I appreciate y'all for listening.